"I can race in his place," said the mechanic's daughter to the racing team boss. Ashley Johnson ran desperately through the pits of the Indianapolis Speedway as shouts echoed in the background. Her father, Robert Johnson, had fainted just minutes before the start of the most important race of the year for their small local team. "I can race in his place," she yelled at Michael Peterson, the stern team boss, who watched as paramedics carried Robert away on a stretcher. Michael turned his face with disbelief. At 45, he had led the Lightning racing team for nearly 2 decades and had never seen such audacity. "Are you out of your mind, girl?" "This isn't a game," replied Michael, adjusting the headset around his neck. "Mr. Michael, you don't understand. If we don't race today, we lose the sponsorship from Smith's Garage. 15 families depend on this," insisted Ashley, her brown eyes burning with determination. The man shook his head. Ashley was only 19, and though she had grown up around engines and tires, she had never driven in an official competition. "And you think a girl can replace the best driver we've ever had?" Michael crossed his arms, watching the rival team's frantic movements in the next pit. "I've been training for 3 years every dawn when you weren't here," Ashley revealed, surprising Michael. "Dad left the spare car keys in the cabinet. I know how to drive." Michael felt a tightness in his chest. Robert had never mentioned his daughter's secret training. All these years, he had assumed the young woman only helped with basic tasks in the family's garage. Even if that were true, the regional competition rules don't allow last-minute substitutions, argued Michael, though his voice held less conviction. "Yes, they do, sir. Article 15 of the regulations. Medical emergencies allow substitutions as long as the new driver has a valid license." Ashley pulled a document from her pocket. "I got my license last month." Michael took the document with trembling hands. The license was in order, signed by the proper authorities. Ashley had prepared for this moment without anyone knowing. "You don't understand the pressure of a real race." Michael tried one last argument. "It's not like driving alone on an empty track." "I know it won't be easy, but at least let me try. If I can't beat the minimum time in the practice run, you can choose another driver," Ashley proposed. Just then, Mrs. Diane, Ashley's mother, came running into the pits. Her face was pale with worry. "How's my husband?" she asked, completely ignoring the conversation between her daughter and Michael. "The doctors said it was just a sudden illness, Mrs. Diane, probably stress and exhaustion," explained one of the team mechanics. Ashley hugged her mother, feeling the tremble in her hands. Mrs. Diane had always opposed the family's involvement in racing, considering it too dangerous. "Mom, I need to race today," Ashley said softly. "What? Have you lost your mind, girl?" Mrs. Diane pulled back, staring at her daughter in shock. "Isn't it bad enough your father is caught up in this crazy world?" "Mom, 15 families depend on this team. Mr. Walter, Mrs. Barbara, everyone at the garage. If we lose today, they'll all be out of work." Mrs. Diane fell silent. She knew the financial reality of every family tied to the team. Many of them had been her neighbors for decades. Michael watched the family scene unfold and made a decision that would change everything. "All right, Ashley, you've got 15 minutes to run 3 timed laps. If you can clock under 1 minute and 45 seconds, you race." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot since we're just starting out. Now, continuing, the minimum time was considered challenging, even for experienced drivers. Ashley knew she'd only have one chance. "Thank you, Mr. Michael, I won't let you down," she said, rushing to the locker room to change. While Ashley got ready, Michael gathered the team of mechanics. Frank, the most senior among them, shook his head in disbelief. "Boss, with all due respect, this is crazy. The girls never raced with other cars on the track," said Frank, wiping his grease-stained hands. "I know, Frank, but it's our only option. Jeffrey has a broken leg. Mark is competing in Chicago. We've got no one else," Michael replied. Just then, unexpected news reached the pit. Victor Reynolds, Robert's former partner and now leader of the rival team Total Speed, approached with a sly smile. "Michael, I heard you're without a driver. What a tough spot," said Victor, feigning concern. "We have a driver, Victor. No need to worry," Michael answered curtly. "Oh, really? And who might that be?" Victor glanced around, searching for a familiar face. Robert's daughter is racing, Michael informed him, watching Victor's reaction. Victor burst into laughter, drawing attention from nearby pit crews. "You're putting a girl on the track. That's a joke, right?" Victor kept laughing. "Michael, you've always been a bit crazy, but this takes it too far." "We'll see who's laughing in the end," Michael shot back, feeling anger rise in his chest. Victor leaned in closer, lowering his voice. "Listen, Michael, I can lend you one of my reserve drivers. Of course, in exchange for a small cut of the prize money," he whispered. "We don't need your favors, Victor, especially after what you did to Robert." Michael turned his back on his former partner. The history between Victor and Robert was well known at the track. 3 years ago, Victor had partnered with Robert to build a bigger team. But when results started coming in, Victor pushed Robert out, keeping the best equipment and sponsors for himself. Ashley stepped out of the locker room wearing the team's black and white racing suit. The outfit hung loose on her small frame, but she managed to adjust it with extra straps. "How do I look?" she asked Frank, who watched her with a mix of admiration and worry. "Like a real driver, kid," Frank replied, surprising himself with his sincerity. Ashley walked over to the car, a Ford Focus modified for amateur racing. It wasn't the most modern in its class, but Robert always kept it in perfect working order. "How's the engine?" she asked, running her hand over the hood. "Your dad checked everything last night, running like a Swiss watch," answered Mikey, the youngest mechanic on the team. Michael approached with a stopwatch in hand. "Ashley, you understand that if you don't make the time, there's no race?" He verified one last time. "I understand, Mr. Michael, but I'll make it," she replied, putting on her helmet. Ashley got into the car and started the engine. The familiar roar instantly calmed her. For years, she'd heard that sound every morning when her father left for work. She drove slowly to the starting line, where the official timer waited. Other drivers paused their activities to watch the unusual scene. "Warm-up lap cleared," announced the timer over the radio. Ashley accelerated gradually, feeling the car respond to her commands. The track was in perfect condition, with dry asphalt and ideal temperatures. At the first turn, she remembered her father's teachings about racing lines. Robert always said speed wasn't about the straightaways, but how you entered and exited the curves. "Take it slow, girl. Don't push yet," she murmured to herself, completing the warm-up lap. "First timed lap," announced the timekeeper. Ashley took a deep breath and pressed the accelerator. The car quickly gained speed, reaching 75 miles per hour on the main straight. At the first sharp turn, she slowed down maybe a bit too much, but maintained full control. The S-curve sequence was handled with precision. 1 minute and 49 seconds, Michael shouted over the radio. 4 seconds over the limit. Ashley felt her heart race. Second timed lap. This time, she entered the curve with more speed, recalling the videos she'd watched of her father racing. The difference was now she could feel the G-forces pushing her body sideways. At the double chicane, she executed a maneuver she'd practiced hundreds of times during Lonely Dawn sessions. The car responded perfectly. 1 minute and 46 seconds, Michael shouted, more excited. Still 1 second over, but the improvement was clear. Final timed lap, now or never. Ashley closed her eyes for a second on the straight, feeling her father's presence beside her. She could almost hear his voice saying, "Give it your all, sweetheart." She accelerated like never before. The speedometer hit 80 miles per hour as she approached the first curve. Instead of braking too early, she held off until the last possible moment, entering the turn at the limit of traction. The car slid slightly, but she controlled it with precise steering. Through the medium curves, she maintained higher constant speed, trusting completely in her father's car setup. The last turn before the final straight was the toughest, a sharp right requiring perfect technique. Ashley remembered how her father always said this curve separated the men from the boys. She braked late, turned the wheel at the exact moment, and accelerated before fully completing the turn, a risky move that worked flawlessly. On the final straight, she kept her foot planted, watching the timer approach the finish line. 1 minute 44.8 seconds, Michael yelled, jumping for joy. Ashley had done it, by just 0.2, but she'd done it. The whole team rushed to congratulate her as she parked in the pits. Frank, who'd been skeptical at first, was first to hug her. "Girl, you're Robert's daughter through and through," he said with tears in his eyes. Victor Reynolds watched from afar, his face tense. His team had dominated regional races for 2 years, but now a rookie threatened his plans. "Michael, congrats to the girl on her time," Victor said, approaching again. "But driving alone is one thing. Racing against 20 cars is another. Ashley will handle it just fine, mark my words," Michael replied, placing a hand on her shoulder. "We'll see," Victor said, walking away with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Mrs. Diane, who'd watched everything from a distance, approached her daughter looking stunned. "Ashley, I never knew you could drive like that," she said, still processing what she'd seen. "Mum, I learned by watching Dad all these years and practicing whenever I had time," Ashley explained. "But why didn't you ever tell me?" Mrs. Diane asked. "Because you always said racing was for crazy people," Ashley replied with a shy smile. Mrs. Diane fell silent for a few seconds, reflecting on her daughter's words. "Maybe I was too harsh," she finally admitted. At that moment, Michael gathered the whole team for a serious talk. "Everyone, you've seen that Ashley has talent, but now comes the hard part. We have 2 hours to get the car ready for the official race," said Michael. "What needs to be done?" asked Ashley. "First, we'll check the entire suspension, then inspect the brakes, tires, and fuel. And most importantly, calibrate the radio so you can hear us during the race," explained Frank. The team split up to tackle the tasks. Ashley was responsible for studying the list of other registered drivers and their key traits. "This one is Tyler Blackwood," said Mikey, pointing to a photo. "Driver from Victor's team. Very aggressive, likes to intimidate newcomers." "And this one?" asked Ashley, indicating another driver. "William Cooper, a veteran in the category, very technical. If he's close to you, it means you're doing well," explained Mikey. Ashley kept studying each competitor's profile. There were 20 drivers registered, including 3 women besides her. "How many women have won races here?" she asked. "Just one, 5 years ago. Jennifer Parker. But she was a professional driver competing in an amateur category," replied Frank. This information only strengthened Ashley's determination. She would be only the second woman to win a race at the Indianapolis track. While the team worked on the car, Michael got a call from the hospital. Robert had woken up and wanted to talk to his daughter. "Ashley, your dad wants to speak with you," said Michael, handing her the phone. "Daddy, how are you?" she asked anxiously. "I'm fine, sweetheart. I heard you got the time to race," said Robert, his voice still weak. "I did, Daddy, 1 minute and 44 seconds, Ashley replied proudly. "Ashley, I need to tell you something," Robert said hesitantly. "What is it, Daddy?" "I always knew about your early morning training sessions, and I always made sure the car was ready for you," he confessed. Ashley felt her eyes fill with tears. "Why did you never say anything?" she asked. "Because your mother didn't approve. But I saw your talent growing every day. You have a natural gift, sweetheart," Robert said. "Daddy, I'm going to win this race for you," Ashley promised. "Don't race for me, sweetheart. Race for yourself. And remember, in tough turns, always look where you want to go, never where you don't," he advised. The call was interrupted by a nurse who asked Robert to rest. Ashley handed the phone back to Michael, filled with renewed emotion and determination. "Your father has always been wise," Michael remarked, "and now I understand where you got your courage from." There were just 30 minutes left before the start when an unexpected problem arose. The car's radio system malfunctioned and couldn't receive transmissions from the pit. "Mikey, can you fix this?" asked Michael, clearly worried. "I'll try, boss, but we might not have enough time," replied Mikey, already dismantling the car's dashboard. "If we can't fix it, how will I know when to pit?" asked Ashley. "You'll have to race practically alone, making your own decisions," Michael explained. The idea of racing without the team's guidance scared Ashley, but she tried to stay calm. "It's okay. Daddy always said the best driver is the one who can handle things on their own," she said, trying to sound more confident than she felt. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. Mikey worked frantically in the final minutes, but couldn't completely fix the radio issue. The system worked for receiving but not transmitting. "At least you'll hear us, "Even if you can't respond," said Mikey, wiping sweat from his brow. "Better than nothing," agreed Ashley. The drivers were called for the final race briefing. The race director explained the rules and track conditions. "The race will last 40 laps or 1 hour, whichever comes first. There's a mandatory pit window between laps 15 and 25, announced the director. Ashley paid attention to every detail. This would be her first experience with race strategy. "Any questions?" asked the director. No one spoke up. Ashley had plenty of questions but didn't want to seem inexperienced in front of the competitors. After the briefing, the drivers headed to the track for the warm-up lap. Ashley lined up in 18th position on the starting grid based on her practice times. "Ashley, listen carefully," said Michael over the radio, taking advantage of the still working system. "First lap, just survive. Let the others fight up front, and you'll gain positions slowly." "Got it," Ashley replied. "One more thing. During the warm-up lap, watch how each driver behaves. Some are aggressive, others more technical." "It'll help you at the start," Michael added. Ashley started the engine and followed the other cars for the warm-up lap. Right at the first turn, she noticed the driver ahead took wide lines, losing time. "I can pass this one at the first opportunity," she thought. In the next sequence of turns, she saw Tyler Blackwood, the aggressive driver from Victor's team, making intimidating moves even during the warm-up. "He's going to be trouble," she muttered to herself. After completing the warm-up lap, the cars lined up on the grid. Ashley stopped in her position and turned off the engine, waiting for final procedures. Beside her, David Thompson, a respected veteran, leaned over to speak. "First race?" he asked. "Yes," Ashley replied, trying to hide her nerves. "Friendly advice, don't try to win the race at the first turn. Let the dust settle," David said with a fatherly smile. "Thanks," Ashley said, grateful for the tip. Just then, Tyler Blackwood approached her car. "Hey, rookie," he shouted. "Hope you know this isn't a place for girls playing driver." Anger flared in Ashley, but she kept her cool. She didn't respond, just stared him down with determination. "Ignore that clown," David said. "He talks big, but doesn't deliver." The officials called all drivers back to their cars. The start was near. Ashley put on her helmet and adjusted her seatbelt. Her heart raced, but her mind stayed focused. "Ashley, can you hear me?" Michael's voice came through the radio. "I hear you," she replied, forgetting the radio couldn't transmit. "Remember what we talked about. First lap is just survival. Then show them what you've got," Michael said. The track marshal raised the green flag, signaling the warm-up lap was cleared. All engines roared to life at once. Ashley followed the pack for another lap, using the time to study the braking points of the drivers ahead. "They're braking too early at turn 5, she noted. "I can gain time there." After the warm-up lap, the cars lined up again on the grid. This time, it was for real. The marshal began showing the countdown boards. 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 1 minute. "Engines on," shouted the marshal. 20 engines roared in unison. The noise was deafening and thrilling at the same time. Ashley took several deep breaths, trying to control the adrenaline rushing through her veins. 15 seconds to the start. The official raised the green flag and quickly lowered it. The race had begun. Ashley had a good start, managing to hold her position in the first few meters. But up ahead in the first turn, chaos erupted. 3 cars touched on the inside of the curve, causing a minor scuffle. Ashley slipped past on the outside, avoiding trouble and gaining 2 positions immediately. "Nice job, girl," Carlos shouted over the radio. "You're in 16th now." In the next sequence of turns, Ashley stayed cautious, remembering David Thompson's advice about not pushing too hard on the first lap. But on the intermediate straight, she noticed the car ahead was having engine trouble. It was her chance to gain another position. She tucked into the draft of the leading car, and at the end of the straight, made a clean pass on the outside. 15th place, Carlos announced, clearly excited. Ashley completed the first lap without major incidents, but had already gained 3 spots. A promising start. "Ashley, you're doing great. Now you can start picking up the pace gradually," Carlos advised. On the second lap, Ashley increased her speed on the straights and began pressuring the driver ahead. It was a young guy who seemed nervous under the pressure. In the slowest turn on the track, Ashley tried an inside pass, but the other driver aggressively shut the door. "Easy, girl. Wait for a better opportunity," Carlos said. Ashley took the advice and settled back behind the other car, waiting for a safer chance. The opportunity came on the 5th lap. The driver ahead made a mistake in the track's most technical turn, losing control of the rear. Ashley seized the moment and passed with ease. "14th place," Carlos cheered. But the joy was short-lived. On the next lap, Tyler Blackwood, who had a poor start and was recovering positions, appeared in Ashley's rear-view mirrors. "Ashley, Tyler's coming. He's very aggressive, so don't give him an opening," Carlos warned. Tyler glued himself to Ashley's bumper and began pressing hard. In every turn, he tried to pull alongside, forcing Ashley to defend her position. "Move over, rookie," Tyler yelled, rolling down his window. Ashley stayed focused, ignoring the taunts. She knew one mistake now could ruin her entire race. On the 10th lap, Tyler finally managed an inside pass in the track's fastest turn. It was a risky move, but it worked. "Stay calm, Ashley. You'll have other chances," Carlos reassured her. Ashley dropped to 15th but didn't lose heart. She knew there was still a long way to go. On lap 15, Carlos gave the signal she'd been waiting for. "Ashley, it's time for your mandatory pit stop. Next lap you come in." Ashley mentally confirmed and prepared to enter the pits. This would be her first official race pit stop. She entered the pit lane at the allowed speed and stopped precisely in front of the team. Frank and Mikey jumped into action to change the tires. 15 seconds, Carlos shouted, timing the stop. Ashley kept the engine running, anxiously waiting for the signal to go. Every second felt like an eternity. "Go!" Frank yelled. Ashley accelerated and returned to the track, now with fresh tires and a full tank of fuel. "You're in 12th now," Carlos informed her. "Some drivers haven't made their mandatory stop yet." Over the next few laps, Ashley watched as several drivers entered the pits. With each stop, she temporarily gained positions. On lap 22, when all the drivers had already made their mandatory pit stops, Ashley was in 10th place, an excellent position for a rookie. "Ashley, you're in 10th, 18 laps to go. Now's the time to show what you're made of," encouraged Michael. Ashley felt more and more confident. The car was responding perfectly, and she had adapted well to the race pace. By lap 25, she had caught up to David Thompson, the veteran who had given her advice before the start. "Ashley, David's having brake trouble. It'll be easy to pass him," Michael informed her. Indeed, David was clearly struggling, braking too early on every turn. Ashley made a respectful pass on the main straight, waving at David as a thank you for his earlier advice. "9th place," cheered Michael. With 15 laps left, Ashley was in a position to score crucial points for the team, but she wanted more. On the next lap, she reached a group of 3 cars battling for 6th place. It was William Cooper, the technical driver, along with 2 other veterans. "Ashley, this group's pace is similar to yours. It'll be tough to pass," Michael warned. Ashley studied the group for 2 laps, noting where each driver was strong or weak. "William's great on the turns but loses speed on the straights," she murmured to herself. By lap 28, Ashley positioned herself in William's slipstream and made a spectacular pass on the main straight. "8th place," Michael shouted, elated. But William wasn't about to let a rookie take his spot. He tucked in behind Ashley and began pressuring her hard. "Ashley, William wants his position back." "Stay calm," Michael advised. The battle between Ashley and William lasted 3 laps. He tried passing in several spots, but Ashley defended smartly without making any reckless moves. By lap 31, William finally backed off. Ashley had proven she deserved the spot. "Well done, Ashley. 9 laps to go and you're in 8th, Michael said. Just then, a few raindrops began to fall. Nothing heavy, but enough to make parts of the track slippery. "Ashley, it's starting to rain. Be careful on the high-speed turns," Michael cautioned. The rain completely changed the race dynamics. Some drivers slowed way down, afraid of losing control. Ashley remembered her father's advice about racing in the rain. Robert always said that in light rain, those with courage gained time. "I'll take the risk," she thought, keeping her speed up despite the wet track. Her strategy worked. By lap 33, she passed 2 cars that were being overly cautious in the rain. "Sixth place!" Michael yelled, hardly believing what he was seeing. The rain stopped the next lap, but Ashley had gained precious positions. Only 6 laps remained. "Ashley, you're in 6th with 6 laps to go. This is fantastic," Michael said. Ashley was over the moon, but knew she had to stay focused till the end. On lap 35, she caught up to 5th place, an experienced local driver who was clearly tired. The pass came naturally the next lap, when the driver braked too late and Ashley slipped inside. "5th place, top 5, Michael celebrated. 4 laps left. Ashley looked ahead and saw 4th place just a few meters away. "Ashley, 4th is within reach, but don't push too hard and make a mistake," Michael advised. Ashley gradually closed in on 4th place. It was a driver she didn't know well, but who seemed determined to defend his position. On lap 37, she tried to pass on the slowest turn, but the other driver closed the door. "Stay calm, there's still time," she told herself. On the next lap, Ashley made a brilliant move. She pretended she'd try to pass on the outside of the fast turn, forcing the other driver to defend his position. But at the last moment, she cut inside and made the pass. "4th place, I can't believe it," shouted Michael. Only 2 laps remained. Ashley was living a dream. "Ashley, now you just need to hold your position. 4th place is an amazing result," said Michael. But Ashley looked ahead and saw the 3rd place driver was in trouble. Smoke was coming from his car's exhaust. "Michael, 3rd place has engine trouble," she mentally reported. On the penultimate lap, the 3rd place car slowed drastically. Ashley passed easily. "3rd place! Podium!" Michael shouted, his voice choked with emotion. Mrs. Diane, watching from the pit, began crying with joy. She never imagined she'd see her daughter on a racing podium. "1 lap to go, Ashley. 3rd place," Michael repeated. Ashley started the final lap with her heart racing. She was less than 2 minutes away from making history, but the race had one last surprise in store. On the main straight, the 2nd place driver had a mechanical failure. His car lost power and slowed to a crawl. Ashley couldn't believe it as she passed him. "2nd place! 2nd place!" Michael screamed, nearly losing his voice. Ashley was in 2nd with just half a lap left. "Michael, how far ahead is 1st?" she asked mentally. 8 seconds. The leader is Tyler," Michael replied. Tyler Blackwood, who had taunted Ashley earlier, was only 8 seconds ahead. "Ashley, 8 seconds is nothing for half a lap. Go for it," Michael encouraged. Ashley floored the accelerator. This was her chance to turn the impossible into reality. She gained 2 seconds in the technical turns, cutting the gap to 6 seconds. 6 seconds! You're catching him," Michael yelled. In the final turns before the straight, Ashley risked everything. She entered much faster than she had all race. The car slid slightly, but she controlled it perfectly. 4 seconds, Michael called out. Ashley hit the final straight less than 100 yards from the finish line. Tyler was in sight, clearly struggling with his car. 3 seconds, go Ashley! Michael screamed. The last stretch felt endless. Ashley saw Tyler getting closer. 50 yards from the line, 2 seconds apart. 20 yards, 1 second. 10 yards, the cars were side by side. Ashley and Tyler crossed the finish line almost together. "It's too close to call. We don't know who won," Michael shouted. Ashley stopped her car past the line, her hands shaking. She didn't know if she'd won or taken second, but she knew she'd done something special. Michael and the whole team ran to hug her before the official result. "Ashley, no matter what, you were incredible," Michael said, tears in his eyes. "Girl, your father would be proud," said Frank. Tyler approached Ashley's car and she braced for aggression. "Rookie," Tyler said, removing his helmet. "Hi," Ashley replied, doing the same. "You raced really well today. Clean and fair," Tyler said, offering his hand. "Thank you," Ashley answered, surprised by his respect. "Drivers to the podium," the official announced. Michael went to check the results with the timers. Ashley waited anxiously. "Ashley Johnson, first place," shouted Michael, running back. Ashley had won by 0.03 of a second, the narrowest margin possible, but a legitimate victory. "Did I win? Did I really win?" she asked, still in disbelief. "You won. "You won," Michael replied, hugging her. The whole team erupted in celebration. Mrs. Diane came running, also crying with joy. "My daughter won! My daughter won!" Mrs. Diane repeated, embracing Ashley. The hospital called to give the news to Robert. Even weakened, he managed to watch the final minutes of the race on his phone. "Michael, how's my dad?" asked Ashley. "He's crying with happiness. The doctors said the excitement was even good for him," Michael answered. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now continuing. The podium ceremony was emotional. Ashley stood on the highest step, with Tyler in second and William in third. When the anthem played and she received the trophy, Ashley thought about the entire journey that had brought her there. The secret training, the courage to accept the challenge, and above all, the support of those who believed in her. "This trophy belongs to my dad, my mom, Michael, and the whole team," she said into the microphone. The crowd cheered enthusiastically. Many young girls in the stands felt inspired seeing a woman their age take first place. After the ceremony, Victor Reynolds approached Ashley. "Congratulations, Ashley. You deserved the win," he said sincerely. "Thank you, Mr. Victor," she replied. "I'd like to make you an offer. How about racing for my team next season? I can provide a much better car and salary," Victor proposed. Ashley looked at Michael and her team, who watched her anxiously. "Thank you for the offer, Mr. Victor, but I wouldn't trade my family for anything," she answered with conviction. Michael smiled proudly. He knew he'd discovered not just a talented driver, but a person of character. "Ashley, you're invited to compete in the state championship next month," the race director informed her. "I accept," she replied immediately. In the following weeks, Ashley's victory made waves across the region. Local newspapers published the story of the young woman who had raced in her father's place and achieved a historic win. The sponsorship from Smith's Garage was renewed immediately, securing jobs for 15 families. But more than that, other sponsors became interested in supporting the team that had revealed such a promising driver. Robert fully recovered and returned as the team's head mechanic, but now he had a new role, preparing his daughter's car. "Dad, how did you teach me so much without me even realizing?" Ashley asked one afternoon. "Sweetheart, I didn't teach you how to race. You were born knowing. I just taught you to believe in yourself," Robert replied, smiling. Mrs. Diane, who had always been against racing, became her daughter's biggest fan. She never missed a race and always brought banners and signs. "Ashley, you made me see that sometimes our fears shouldn't limit our children's dreams," Mrs. Diane said in a conversation. "Mom, you always supported me even without realizing it. All the values you taught me helped me on the track," Ashley answered. Michael became more than a team leader to Ashley. He became a second father, always there to guide her through tough moments. "Michael, thank you for believing in me when even I didn't," Ashley said after a state championship win. "Ashley, you taught me that talent has no age or gender. It just takes courage," Michael replied. The Lightning Racing team became one of the most respected in the region. Not just because of Ashley's results, but because of how everyone worked together like a true family. Frank, the veteran mechanic, became a mentor to many young people in the community who wanted to work with cars. "Mr. Frank, how do you become a good mechanic?" asked a 15-year-old boy. "First, you have to love what you do. Then, never stop learning. And most importantly, always treat the car like it's your own child," Frank taught. Mikey, the youngest mechanic, also grew professionally and became responsible for training new talent. "Mikey, do you think I could become a driver too?" asked a 16-year-old girl. "Of course you can. Ashley proved that anyone with dedication and talent can make it. It's all up to you," Mikey replied. The Johnsons' garage also grew. With the fame brought by Ashley's victories, many new customers showed up, wanting their cars prepped by the champion drivers team. "Robert, how does it feel to have a famous daughter?" asked a long-time customer. "It's an immense joy, but to me, she's still the same little girl who used to play around the engines," Robert answered. Ashley never forgot her roots. Even with success, she kept living in the same house, and helping in her father's garage whenever she could. "Ashley, why don't you move to a fancier place?" asked a journalist. "Because this is my home. It's where the people I love are the ones who made me who I am today," she replied. Over the following months, Ashley competed in several regional and state races, always with excellent results. She became one of the most respected drivers in the countryside of Chicago. Tyler Blackwood, who had been provocative at first, became one of her closest friends in the racing world. "Ashley, you taught me that respect is earned on the track, not with words," Tyler said after a race. "Tyler, you've taught me a lot too. Racing against you made me a better driver," Ashley answered. William Cooper, the veteran technician, also became a mentor to her. "Ashley, you have a bright future ahead, but always remember to keep your feet on the ground," William advised. "Mr. Cooper, could you teach me more about race strategy?" Ashley asked. "Of course, it'd be a pleasure to help such a promising driver," William replied. David Thompson, who had given her the first advice, became like a caring grandfather. "Ashley, do you remember what I said about not trying to win the race in the first turn?" David asked. "I do. It was one of the best pieces of advice I've ever received," Ashley answered. "That's right. Sometimes the best victories come from patience and wisdom," David said. Ashley's story also inspired other women in the region to take an interest in racing. A women's driving school was created at the track, with her as the patron. "Girls, you can achieve anything you want. You just have to believe and work hard," Ashley told the students. "Ashley, is it true you learned to race all by yourself?" asked one of the girls. "Not alone. I had help from my dad, my mom, Michael, and the whole team. No one achieves anything alone," Ashley explained. The Lightning Racing team also started social projects in the community. They offered free mechanics courses for underprivileged youth. "Michael, why do you do this?" asked one of the young beneficiaries. "Because we want to give back to the community a little of what it gave us. And most importantly, we want to give you opportunities," Michael explained. Robert became the lead instructor for the courses, teaching not just technical skills, but also values like honesty and dedication. Folks, being a mechanic isn't just about fixing cars. It's about being responsible for the safety of the people who trust our work, Robert would teach. "Mr. Robert, how do you get to be as good as you?" asked a student. "Son, I'm still learning every day. The difference is I never stopped trying to be better than I was yesterday," Robert replied. Mrs. Diane also got involved in social projects, organizing events to raise funds and donate equipment to the women's racing school. "Mrs. Diane, you've changed so much since Ashley started racing," a neighbor remarked. "It's true, I've learned we shouldn't be afraid of our children's dreams. We should support them in making those dreams come true," Mrs. Diane reflected. A year after her first win, Ashley was invited to compete nationally. It would be her biggest challenge yet. "Ashley, do you feel ready to compete at the national level?" Michael asked. "I feel ready for any challenge as long as you're all with me," she answered. "We'll always be here, sweetheart," Robert said. Preparing for the national competition required much more dedication and investment from the team. They had to upgrade some equipment and study more advanced strategies. "Guys, can we really compete with teams that have way more resources?" Frank asked. "Frank, we have something money can't buy, unity and determination," Michael replied. "And talent," Mikey added. "Ashley can hold her own against any racer in the country." During training for the national competition, Ashley faced some struggles. The demands were much higher than she was used to. "Dad, am I pushing myself too hard?" she asked after a tough session. "Sweetheart, when you have a big dream, you need big preparation too. The important thing is not to give up," Robert encouraged. "Remember the first time you got in the car? You were nervous, but you faced the challenge," Michael reminded her. "That's true. And now I'm a much more experienced racer," Ashley agreed. On the day of the national competition, the entire Indianapolis community organized a caravan to support Ashley. Over 100 people traveled to watch her race. "Ashley, look how many people came to cheer you on," Mrs. Diane said, moved. "Mom, that just makes me feel even more responsible to do my best," Ashley replied. "Don't think about responsibility, sweetheart. Think about gratitude for having so many people who believe in you," Mrs. Diane advised. The national competition brought together the best racers in the country across multiple categories. Ashley would compete in the youth division against racers up to 25 years old. Ashley, some of these racers have been competing for over 10 years, Michael told her, and I've only raced for a year. But it's been a very intense year, she replied confidently. That's the right attitude, Michael approved. During the practice rounds, Ashley managed to place in the top 10, a respectable result for a newcomer at the national level. 10th place in practice, Mikey cheered. It's a good start. Now let's see what we can do in qualifying, Robert said. In the qualifying round, Ashley pushed herself and secured 7th place on the starting grid. 7th, Michael shouted. That's fantastic for a first-time national entry. Thanks, guys, but now comes the hard part, Ashley said. You're ready, sweetheart. Trust your talent, Robert encouraged. The national race lasted an hour and 15 minutes, much longer than the regional competitions Ashley was used to. Ashley, the strategy here is different. You'll need to manage your tires and fuel better, Michael explained. And most importantly, stay focused longer, added William, who had come to show his support. The start of the national race was much more competitive than Ashley had imagined. In the first few turns, she lost 2 positions for being too cautious. 9th place, Michael reported over the radio. Got it. I'll pick up the pace, Ashley replied. During the first laps, Ashley adjusted to the level of competition in the national category. Gradually, she began reclaiming positions. 8th place, Michael announced on lap 10. 7th place, he cheered on lap 15. By lap 20, Ashley was in 6th place, gaining confidence with every lap. Ashley, you're doing great. Keep it up, Michael encouraged. The first pit stop was crucial. The team worked flawlessly, gaining a position just from their efficiency. 5th place after the pit stop, Frank celebrated. Great job, everyone. Ashley thanked them. In the second half of the race, Ashley showed just how much she had grown as a driver. She passed the 4th place car with a clean, bold move. 4th place, Michael shouted. I'm going after 3rd, Ashley declared. The battle for 3rd lasted several laps. The other driver was very experienced and defended his position well. Stay calm, Ashley. Look for his weak spot, Michael advised. Ashley watched for a few laps and noticed her opponent lost time on the slow turns. Found where to pass, she murmured. On lap 50, Ashley made a spectacular pass on the slowest turn of the track. 3rd place, national podium, Michael yelled, ecstatic. There were 15 minutes left in the race. Ashley was in 3rd place in her first national competition. Ashley, now just manage it. 3rd place is an amazing result, Michael said. I'll try to go for 2nd, she replied, determined. In the final minutes, Ashley closed in on 2nd place but didn't get a clear chance to pass. 3rd place confirmed, Michael announced as the checkered flag waved. Ashley had earned a podium in her first national race, a historic achievement for a driver just 20 years old. I can't believe it, national podium, Mrs. Diane cried, tears of joy streaming down her face. My daughter is a champion, Robert cheered. The national podium ceremony was even more emotional than the regional one. When the anthem played and she received her trophy, Ashley remembered her entire journey. This trophy isn't just for me, it's for the whole community that believed in me, she said into the microphone. The audience gave her a standing ovation. Several veteran drivers publicly acknowledged the young talent. Ashley, you have a future in national racing, one of the organizers said. Thank you. But my commitment will always be to my community first, she replied. After the race, several professional team managers approached Ashley with tempting offers. Ashley, we can offer you a professional contract with an excellent salary, one manager said. I appreciate the interest, but I need to talk with my family and team first, she answered diplomatically. That night at the hotel, Ashley had a long discussion with her family and team about her future. Sweetheart, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, Robert said. I know, Dad, but I don't want to leave you all behind, Ashley replied. Ashley, you won't be leaving anyone. You're just reaching higher, Michael assured her. And whenever you need to, you can always come home, Mrs. Diane added. After much thought, Ashley made a decision that surprised everyone. I'll accept racing professionally, but on one condition, she announced. What condition? Michael asked. That the Lightning Racing team stays as my home team. All training and prep will be done in Indianapolis, Ashley explained. Is that possible? Robert asked. We'll make it possible, Michael said, determined. The innovative proposal intrigued the managers. Having a talented driver with a united and dedicated team could be a competitive advantage. I accept the condition, said the head official. We'll form a partnership between our professional structure and the Lightning Racing team. In the following months, the Lightning Racing team underwent a major transformation. They received modern equipment and advanced training, but kept their family essence. Frank, do you believe we're working in a professional team now? Asked Mikey. Son, we've always been professionals. The difference is now we have recognition, Frank replied with a smile. Robert became the official head mechanic of the professional operation, a role he had informally filled for years. Robert, how does it feel to be the official head mechanic for a professional driver? Asked a journalist. I'm proud to see my daughter achieve her dreams without losing her roots, Robert answered. Michael took on the role of general manager for the team, coordinating both local and national operations. Michael, what's the secret to the Lightning Racing team's success? Asked another journalist. We treat everyone like family. From Ashley down to the last mechanic, everyone is equally important, Michael explained. Mrs. Diane became the coordinator of the team's social projects, expanding education and inclusion programs. Mrs. Diane, why is it important to keep the social projects running? Asked a volunteer. Because we should never forget where we came from, and most importantly, we should help other young people achieve their dreams too, Mrs. Diane replied. Ashley's first professional season was a success. She won 3 races and finished 4th in the national championship. Ashley, how do you assess your first professional season? Asked a reporter. It was better than I imagined, but the most important thing is we managed to keep our identity as a team, she answered. And what are your plans for the future? The reporter asked. To keep growing, always staying grounded, and never forgetting our roots, Ashley said. During the season, Ashley became a symbol of perseverance and determination. Her story inspired thousands of young people across the country. Ashley, do you consider yourself a role model for other young people? Asked a student. I consider myself a normal person who had opportunities and knew how to make the most of them. Anyone can do the same, Ashley replied. But not everyone has the courage you had, the student observed. Courage is something you develop by facing your fears. The important thing is taking the first step, Ashley advised. The Lightning Racing team also became a reference for nurturing new talent. Several young people from the region began their careers with the team. Mr. Michael, how do you manage to discover new talent? Asked an official from another team. We give opportunities to those who have the drive. Talent shows up naturally, Michael explained. And what sets your training apart? The official asked. We teach not just driving, but also values like respect, humility, and teamwork, Michael answered. Robert remained the main technical mentor for the young drivers, passing on not just knowledge, but also a passion for the sport. Mr. Robert, what's the first thing you teach a young driver? Asked one of the newcomers. To respect the car, the track, and especially the other drivers, Robert replied. And the second? The young man asked. That talent without hard work won't take you far, Robert taught. The Johnson's garage also expanded, becoming one of the most respected in the region for race car preparation. Robert, what's the secret to preparing a winning car? Asked a customer, treating every detail as if it were the most important. And most of all, knowing the driver who will be using the car, Robert explained. 2 years after her first victory, Ashley was already considered one of the best young drivers in the country, but she never forgot the day it all began. Ashley, do you remember the first time you said, "I can race in his place"? Michael asked during a conversation. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was desperate, not sure if it would work, Ashley replied. And now? Michael asked. Now I know every second of nerves and every drop of sweat was worth it, she said with a smile. Ashley Johnson's story became legend at the Indianapolis track. A plaque was installed at the entrance with the words that changed everything. I can race in his place. Ashley, how does it feel seeing this plaque? A visitor asked. It reminds me that sometimes The greatest achievements start with the hardest decisions, Ashley reflected. And would you do it all over again? The visitor asked. Without hesitating for a second, that day didn't just change my life, it changed my whole family and community, she answered. During a special ceremony at the track, Ashley was honored for her contributions to the sport and the community. Ashley Johnson represents the very best in racing. Talent, determination, and character, said the Federation president. Thank you, but this honor belongs to everyone who believed in me when I didn't even believe in myself, Ashley replied. Robert, now fully recovered, watched the ceremony proudly beside Mrs. Diane. Diane, do you remember when you were against racing? Robert asked. I do. And today I'm grateful I changed my mind. Our daughter wouldn't be the same person without this world, Mrs. Diane admitted. It's true. Racing taught us values we'll carry for life, Robert agreed. Michael, now recognized as one of the best team managers in the country, was also honored at the ceremony. Michael Peterson, the man who saw talent when no one else did, the announcer declared. I just gave her a chance. The one who made the difference was Ashley's courage, Michael said into the microphone. The Lightning Racing team became a model for sports management, combining professionalism with human values. How do you keep the team united despite your growth? A researcher asked. We never let success go to our heads. Everyone is still treated like family, Frank explained. And what's the secret to the team's longevity? The researcher asked. Investing in people, not just equipment, Mikey answered. The women's racing school founded by the team had already trained over 50 drivers, many of whom now competed professionally. Ashley, what's the importance of the women's racing school? One of the graduates asked. It's about showing other girls that they can dream of racing too, Ashley explained. And do you believe we'll ever have full equality in the sport? The former student asked. I do, and every victory brings us closer to that day, Ashley replied. The team's social programs also expanded, benefiting hundreds of local youth with vocational training and job opportunities. Mrs. Diane, what impact have the social programs had on the community? A social worker asked. We're changing lives. Many young people who had no prospects now have careers and dignity, Mrs. Diane answered. And does that bring you personal satisfaction? The social worker asked. The greatest satisfaction of my life. Better than any trophy, Mrs. Diane said. 3 years after her first victory, Ashley announced her plans for the near future. I'll be competing in the top tier of national racing, she announced at a press conference. Do you feel ready for this challenge? A reporter asked. I feel ready for any challenge as long as I have my team with me, Ashley replied. And what are your goals for this new chapter? Asked another journalist. To keep growing as a driver and as a person, and most importantly, to keep inspiring other young people, she said. Robert, now 50 years old and more experienced than ever, was preparing to accompany his daughter on this new journey. Daddy, do you think I'm ready for the top tier? Asked Ashley. Sweetheart, you've been ready since that very first day, you just didn't realize it right away, replied Robert. But what if I don't get good results? She questioned. What matters isn't just the results, but how you compete. And in that you've always been exemplary, reassured Robert. Michael also adapted to support Ashley in the new tier, studying more complex strategies and investing in technology. Michael, isn't it too risky to invest in the top tier? Asked a friend. Every big dream comes with big risks, but we believe in Ashley's potential, replied Michael. And what if it doesn't work out? The friend asked. At least we tried. It's better to try and fail than to never try and always wonder what if, Michael philosophized. Ashley's first race in the top tier took place on the very track where it all began, Indianapolis. It's symbolic to race here for my debut in the top tier, Ashley told the press. How does it feel to return to the place where it all started? Asked a reporter. It feels like home. This track gave me everything I am today, she replied. The debut race was challenging. Ashley started in 15th place but managed to finish 8th, earning crucial points. 8th place in your top-tier debut, celebrated Michael. It's just the beginning. We'll improve with every race, promised Ashley. Mrs. Diane, now 52, remained her daughter's biggest fan, traveling to every race. Mom, don't you ever get tired of following me? asked Ashley. Never. Every one of your races is a new thrill for me, replied Mrs. Diane. And you're not scared anymore? Ashley asked. I am. But it's a good kind of fear. The kind a proud mother feels, explained Mrs. Diane. The Lightning Racing team continued to grow and professionalize, but always kept its family essence and values. Frank, how does it feel to be part of this story? Asked Mikey. I feel privileged. How many people can say they helped build a dream? Replied Frank. And are you proud of what we've built? Mikey asked. I'm proud not just of the results, but mostly of how we got here, said Frank. During her second season in the top tier, Ashley secured her first victory, once again in Indianapolis. Victory! Victory in the top tier! Michael shouted over the radio. We did it, Ashley responded, emotional. The win was celebrated by the entire community as if it were a collective achievement. Ashley, is this victory extra special because it's at home? Asked a journalist. It's special because it represents the fulfillment of a dream that started right here, she replied. And what are your next goals? The journalist asked. To keep improving and maybe one day compete for the championship, said Ashley. Robert, moved by his daughter's victory in the top tier, reflected on their entire journey. Diane, do you remember when Ashley was little and pretended to be a driver? He asked. I do. And you always said she'd be a great driver one day, replied Mrs. Diane. I knew she had talent, but I never imagined she'd come this far, admitted Robert. And most importantly, she got here without losing who she is, observed Mrs. Diane. Michael, now recognized as one of the top strategists in national motorsports, also looked back on their journey. Ashley, do you remember when I laughed at your idea of racing in your dad's place? Asked Michael. I do. And at the time, I understood your reaction, replied Ashley. Today, I apologize for doubting you, even if only for a few seconds, said Michael. Michael, you gave me the opportunity of a lifetime. You don't need to apologize for anything, Ashley reassured him. Now, 5 years after that first decisive race, Ashley Johnson is considered one of the top drivers in American motorsports. She still lives in Indianapolis, trains every day at the local track, and keeps her father's garage as her main base. The Lightning Racing team has become a powerhouse in national racing, but it never lost its characteristic as one big family. The team's social programs have benefited over 1,000 young people in the region, many of whom now work for the team itself or other teams across the country. The Women's Racing School is a national benchmark, with former students competing at various levels of motorsports. Robert remains the head mechanic and Ashley's primary advisor, still passionate about engines even at 53. Mrs. Diane has become one of the leading activists for women's rights in sports, organizing awareness campaigns and events. Michael is now one of the most respected team leaders in the country, but he still treats everyone like family, from the driver to the last mechanic. Frank, at 60, is the most experienced mechanic in the field and a mentor to dozens of young professionals. Mikey has become one of the top engine specialists in the country, always applying the lessons he learned at Lightning. But the most beautiful part of the story is that it all began with a 19-year-old girl who, in a moment of desperation, had the courage to say, "I can race in his place." And she proved that sometimes the greatest achievements are born in the toughest moments, when we dare to believe in ourselves and lean on the support of those we love. The Indianapolis track remains a stage for great emotions, but none have surpassed that rainy afternoon when a girl became a woman, a family grew even closer, and an entire community discovered that dreams really can come true. The end. Now tell us, what did you think of Ashley's story? Do you believe she made the right choice by accepting the challenge? Share your honest thoughts about this journey of courage and perseverance that taught us sometimes all we need is an opportunity and people who believe in us.